Steelers fans, I am officially starting to get concerned about the Aaron Rodgers saga here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And today I'm going to be explaining why, and I'm going to be explaining the 5 potential reasons why Aaron Rodgers, almost 2 weeks into NFL free agency at this point, has not signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Before we get into today's show, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because whenever this saga ends, whether it's later today or whether it's by the NFL draft or whether it's in August, we will be going live when this saga finally ends for the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And with that, let's get into the content today. And we'll start with the report that Tom Pelissero put out yesterday regarding the Vikings' interest in Aaron Rodgers. This is what he had to say. The Vikings have rejected multiple trade calls on J.J. McCarthy, telling other teams they're moving forward with him as their quarterback, sources say. The team plans to add a veteran, but they're not pursuing Aaron Rodgers at this time. McCarthy now enters the offseason as QB1. Then Pelissero went on NFL Network and said not only have the Minnesota Vikings pretty much taken themselves out of the Aaron Rodgers kind of sweepstakes at this point in time, but the Vikings have made it clear to Rodgers and his agent that they are not in on him at this point in time. And now the reports are starting to come out that Rodgers would sign, quote-unquote, right now with the Minnesota Vikings. So there is a team out there that Aaron Rodgers would be willing to end this whole saga for, and apparently that is the Minnesota Vikings. But according to this reporting from Tom Pelissero, that is not the case. Then we got this report right after Pelissero put that out yesterday from Adam Schefter from ESPN. Nothing related to Minnesota has altered Aaron Rodgers' timeline. One source monitoring Rodgers' potential decision about the 2025 season said this morning that the free agent QB still, quote-unquote, is in no rush at all. All right, and if that is the case, and if Aaron Rodgers is willing to sign with the Minnesota Vikings right now, apparently, but he's not willing to do the same thing with the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though Minnesota has said to his face that they do not want him, is concerning to me, guys, because it's like, well, if Minnesota's out of it, why doesn't he just shift to his second best option, which you would think would be the Pittsburgh Steelers? Why wouldn't he just sign on? Why is he taking so long to make this decision? Now, listen, man, I understand why Rodgers would prefer Minnesota. Hell, if I was in his spot, I would prefer to go to Minnesota. They beefed up their trenches both on offense and defense in free agency this year. They spent a lot of money on that side of the ball. Then also they have Justin Jefferson, arguably the best receiver in the game. They got Jordan Addison, a really good number 2 receiver, TJ Hawkinson, an excellent tight end, not to mention his buddy Aaron Jones. And then, oh yeah, they have the coach of the year and one of the best play callers in football, and Kevin O'Connell as the head coach, and a great defense led by Brian Flores. Of course, Aaron Rodgers would prefer to go to Minnesota, but apparently they're out on him. So if that's the case, why, if he really wants to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, why not shift to the Steelers and sign with them? All right, it's past 24 hours since apparently, at least Tom Pelissero reported that the Vikings have told Rodgers that they are not interested in his services. So why is it taking so long to shift to the Pittsburgh Steelers? That is a legitimate question that I have. And coming up here, guys, I got 5 potential answers to that question. Why has Aaron Rodgers not signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers? And just how long is Pittsburgh willing to wait for him to make that decision? I'll answer those questions here in just one moment. But first, Aaron Rodgers may not be coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He might be a Pittsburgh Steeler. But the person that we do know is going to be arriving in the Steel City this year is DK Metcalf, this team's new number 1 wide receiver. And you can pre-order his number 4 Steelers jersey, brand new from our friends at Fanatics right now, and you use our link, chatsports.com/DK. We really do appreciate all of your guys' support. And if you're planning on getting a Metcalf jersey, make sure you use our link here because it helps out the channel. Because every time someone makes a purchase using our link, chatsports.com/DK, Fanatics is going to send us part of the proceeds. So that helps us keep the lights on. That helps us buy new equipment. That helps us get new graphics, all the stuff that allows us to give you guys the best damn Steelers coverage money can buy, 100% free every single day, is because of you guys getting the merchandise that we push here on the channel. So we really do appreciate all of your guys' support. Go to chatsports.com/DK to get your Metcalf jersey in your closet today. So the first potential answer as to why Aaron Rodgers has not signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers is he's just taking his time no matter what the team is. Even with the Minnesota Vikings, and the reporting that he would sign with the Vikings right now is completely false. And by the way, guys, this is 100% possible. Pat McAfee is obviously very close with Aaron Rodgers, and of course A.J. Hawk, who is also a part of the Pat McAfee show. He's probably on Aaron Rodgers' top 5 list of best friends. Neither of these guys have heard from him during this entire saga. So if these guys haven't heard anything, you can pretty much guess that there's like 2, maybe 3 people on the entire planet that know what Aaron Rodgers is thinking at this point in time. So any sourcing like Schefter has saying, oh, a source close to Rodgers is saying he's in no rush at all, there's maybe 2 or 3 people in the world that know what Aaron Rodgers is thinking at this point. So that report from Schefter, in my opinion, is certainly up in the air as well. Number 2 reason why he could be holding off a decision here is he's trying to get something out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's possible that he wants to go to Pittsburgh, but for some reason the offer that Pittsburgh has given him to this point is just not up to snuff, whether that's in terms of the financial situation or whether that's in terms of the years, whether that's in terms of guaranteed money. We just don't know. It's definitely possible that Rodgers is kind of using the Vikings situation to try and get more money out of the Steelers. Maybe, the Steelers are only offering him a 1-year contract when he wants a 2-year contract. Maybe he wants a fully guaranteed contract over 2 seasons, and the Steelers have not been willing to give him that at this point in time. We don't know the exact details right now. Like I said, the Rodgers circle is extremely tight, and the Steelers, with Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin, don't really leak a lot of information either, so we don't have a lot of info, but certainly a possibility that Rodgers is still trying to get more out of the deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers before he signs on. Number 3 potential answer to this question is he really doesn't want to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this is the concern that I have, because if he wanted to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers and he was really excited, you would think that once the Steelers gave him an offer, he might take a day to think about it, but not 2 weeks. If he really wanted to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, why is he waiting so long to make this decision? And that is a very fair question to ask. And personally, guys, I would think Aaron Rodgers would love to play for Mike Tomlin here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We've got some great defensive talent here. You've got a really good wide receiver duo in DK Metcalf and George Pickens. You got a really good receiving tight end in Pat Freiermuth. You're going to be drafting a really good running back and a loaded running back class in the NFL draft this year. And then, Aaron Rodgers has gone on the Pat McAfee show and praised the city of Pittsburgh, praised the Steelers organization, praised the history of this organization. You would think, based on what he said about this team and this city and this fan base, that he would be jazzed up to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it's a little bit of a surprise to me that it's taking him this long with an offer on the table from the Steelers to say, yeah, I want to go play for this football team. Another thing that this could potentially be is that he's torn between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Giants. Now, for me, if I were Aaron Rodgers, this would be an easy decision, frankly. All right, the New York Giants, I get that he has a place to live in New York, and maybe he doesn't want to uproot his life to go to a new city at the end of his career, and he would like to, finish what he started, in New York City, all these different things. And maybe he really likes the area there in East Rutherford, New Jersey. But the Giants, they don't have as an established of a head coach. They have one established offensive weapon to work with. The defense, they added some pieces in free agency, and they got a good pass rush, but that's certainly far from established. With the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is a team that got 10 wins last year with a defective offense. All right, if you really have that high level of confidence in yourself and you think you can turn around this offense along with the Steelers defense and the head coach that you respect really greatly here with Mike Tomlin, I would think that he thinks that he could turn the Pittsburgh Steelers into a Super Bowl contender instead of trying to go to the 3-win Giant team where he has to completely turn around that franchise. So for me, I think this one is probably less likely. In my opinion, I think Rodgers probably does prefer the Steelers over the Giants, but who knows at this point? Rodgers, like I said, no one really knows what he's thinking. Then the final potential answer here is that he's contemplating retirement. And this is one that I could appreciate because, this is a big life decision that Aaron Rodgers has to make. And, there's certainly something to be said about, this being a big decision and, you're going to a new city, and this is probably going to be the final decision he makes about his football career before he ends up deciding to go and retire. But Albert Breer from NFL Network has reported that he knows that Aaron Rodgers told the New York Jets weeks ago that he wants to play in 2025. So honestly, guys, this one's kind of less likely to me as well. I think he does want to play in 2025. He has said time and time again how much he loves the Steelers organization, how much he loves the city of Pittsburgh, how much he respects Mike Tomlin. The Steelers won 10 games last year, and they've got a lot of talent on this roster. So I'm just sitting here, and I'm thinking, what the hell has taken so long for him to make this decision? All right. And I think that another big question that's going to have to be answered here is how long are the Pittsburgh Steelers willing to wait on Rodgers here? Now, I think that to this point, Pittsburgh, everything that they have communicated to this point says that they're willing to wait as long as it takes to make Aaron Rodgers their starting quarterback. Mike Tomlin has been pursuing Aaron Rodgers since the beginning of NFL free agency. He was their number one target at the quarterback position this year over Justin Fields, over Sam Darnold, over Russell Wilson, over all other options this year. Aaron Rodgers was Mike Tomlin's number one choice, and to this point, seems like Tomlin's willing to wait. But Tom Pelissero also reported yesterday that the Pittsburgh Steelers, multiple members of this organization, have had ongoing discussions with Aaron Rodgers throughout this process, even going into this week. They have spoken with Rodgers, and they have spoken with his representation, and those conversations continue to be ongoing. So apparently, based on those conversations, Pittsburgh still feels really good about their chances of landing Aaron Rodgers, and there's definitely something positive coming out of those discussions with Rodgers and the Steelers that makes the Steelers think, yeah, he wants to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. So I guess we'll see what happens here. The Steelers apparently feel good about their chances of getting Rodgers, but it's also worth mentioning that this team also felt really good about their chances of landing Brandon Ayuk before the season last year, and we all know how that finished up. It did not end well for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and as a result, this wide receiver room last season was seriously lacking because they put all of their eggs into the Brandon Ayuk basket, and they struck out. And now it seems like they're setting themselves up for potentially the same failure, only at the most important position in all of sports. Now, there are reports out there, guys, that Rodgers could wait weeks to decide where he wants to play in 2025. Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, a lot of people have suggested that he could even wait all the way to the NFL draft, which is in 5 weeks, to decide where he wants to play next season. And if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, guys, plain and simply, I wouldn't wait that long for Rodgers to make this decision, all right? Cam Hayward said it best earlier this week. It's either you want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler or you don't, all right? If I'm Pittsburgh, I am not waiting, hand and foot for Aaron Rodgers, to wait on the Minnesota Vikings to hopefully change their mind that J.J. McCarthy isn't going to be the guy moving forward, all right? If I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm getting on the phone with Aaron Rodgers right now, and I'm saying you have until the end of the day, Saturday night, to decide whether or not you want to be our starting quarterback. And if we don't get an answer by then, we are signing Russell Wilson to a 1-year contract on Sunday morning. That is what I am doing, because I do not think that the gap between Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson is so wide that I am not willing to bring back Russell Wilson if Rodgers is taking forever to make this decision. That's just the way that it is right now. Now, full disclosure, I do think Rodgers will eventually come to the decision that he wants to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Obviously, the Steelers feel good about the conversations that they have had with Rodgers. Obviously, the Steelers feel good about their chances of landing him. And I do think it's just a matter of time before we finally get a decision from Aaron Rodgers. And by the way, when that decision comes down, I'll be excited about it. All right, I think Aaron Rodgers still has a lot left in the tank, and I think that this team can seriously have success next year with Aaron Rodgers as their starting quarterback. But until that happens, I'm going to continue to be frustrated. I'm going to continue to be concerned about why Aaron Rodgers has not picked the Pittsburgh Steelers at this point in time. So take a guess for me down there in the comments section. What is the % chance that Aaron Rodgers is a Steeler this season? Right now, Pauly Market has the Steelers' odds at around 60%. They have the Minnesota Vikings at like 15%. The New York Giants are at like 20%, with retirement at like a 10% percentage. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Scale of 0 to 100. What is the % chance Aaron Rodgers is a Pittsburgh Steeler this year? That'll be it for today's AM edition of Steelers Talk. Later today, me and Coop, we're going to be going live at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll talk about Rodgers, but we also have a bunch of great draft content coming your way. My latest Steelers mock draft. I'm going to be talking about some early round quarterback draft targets for the Steelers to consider, and then also we'll be reacting to all the latest mock drafts around the NFL draft space surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it's going to be a fun day of Steelers content here, guys. It's just getting started. So make sure you click that subscribe button and join us for Steelers Talk Live at 5:30 p.m. later this afternoon.